.11. This would be a reduction in funds for an unimplemented pharmacy reimbursement policy, $1.2 million. You remember this is where we had discussed the single dose vial reimbursement that was not implemented, and we were able to show a savings of 1.2 there. The next item, 17.5.12, you're going to see similar items like this under the next, the low income as well as Peach Care. And this is basically a truing up of the Medicaid projection. This is based upon the actual enrollment and the expenditures at the end of December 2012. And in this one, 17.5.12, is an add of $85 million. If you look down next, 17.6.11, there's a cut of $104 million. And then also 17.7.8 is an add of the $10.8 million. And there again, this is the actual truing up of when all the enrollment expenditures and this sort of thing was brought together at the end of the year. Next, under physicians workforce, 1710.1, there was a lot of discussion about the Gwinnett Medical Center in Southwest Georgia Consortium, and we were recommending that the money be restored to Gwinnett Medical Center, $136,000, $523,000 to the Southwest Georgia Consortium. This is to allow them to execute the contracts and pay for those that they've already got in the works. 17.10.2, there was a recommended reduction in 3%, and we were recommending that that 3% cut be reduced to a 1 1/2% cut, so we're basically restoring 1.5%. 1710.3, this was the resident slots at Houston County Medical Center. They had allowances for 9 slots. They actually filled 7, so there's a savings of $41,000 there. The next one is 1711.1. This deals with the Mercer School of Medicine grant. There again, it was a recommended 3% cut, and we were restoring half of that, so we changed that to a 1.5% cut as opposed to the 3. Same thing with 1712.1 for Morehouse, reducing the 3% cut to a 1.5% cut right there. Under the Department of Public Health, that's section number 37. If you will look at 37.2.1, they were recommending that hypertension outreach services be eliminated, and we were recommending that not be. We discussed this. This was a program that helped a lot of low-income folks to obtain their medication and keep them out of the hospital with strokes and this sort of thing. Felt like that was a cut that we didn't want to go along with him, so we restored that. Under the 37.7.3, this is where we could recognize some savings by using the PCEP program, putting the hemophiliac clients into that federal pre-existing condition. The governor's recommendation was a cut of $478,000, and we've got some later information that we can make that a $498,000, and this will still allow those folks to receive the services that they need, but under this program we can do it in a more cost-effective manner. And then under 37.14.1, there was a cut there, and this was adding $300,000 to that proposed cut, so it would be a cut of $778,000. And those are the changes. It's pretty much a vanilla budget. There's not a whole lot to work with. Any comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Vice Chairman.
I just want to make a motion whenever time is appropriate.
Okay. Any discussion from any members? Okay.
Move to pass.
I have a motion that we do pass. Do we hear a second? Have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then it will be recommended from the committee that it do pass. Ms. Miller has some copies of this, and you also, Margie, they can get this online. Is that right? If you need to obtain a copy, if you'll see her, she'll give you that information so you could do that. Thank you all very much.
pointed out in one of our committees about things you had concerns about, and there'll be some changes on here that were at the request of OPB and things that you wanted changed, and then we were able to find a little money. It was sort of like, you know, at home when you're looking for money, you look under the cushions or the chairs, so we were just sort of looking for money and to take care of some things that were real concerns of the committee members. If the committee members are turned to page 5, Department of Agriculture, the first change, 13.4.6, reduce funding to the H-1B, H-2A guest worker program. This has been discontinued, and the department gave us these figures, and they were able to close out this program a little early, and this is just good government, and that's where the $41,529 came from the department, and these figures came from the department. Jay, we'll wait for you to get settled so you can. Okay. The next change you'll find on page 6, 16.11.2. The OPB had asked us to make a cut in the REBA grant money, and this doesn't have anything to do with any of the current projects. This is just a reserve fund, and you'll see later on where this will show up again in the document where we put it, and it was $365,000, but we went on and took $650,000 because we decided we needed to use it somewhere else. The next thing is 16.12.1, the Georgia Rural Water Association. GFA has told us that they will cover that, and they have the money to cover that. So we zeroed that out. Okay, the next one is 22.0.1. This was at the request of OPB. We zeroed out that cut of 27.1.4. Now right here in 22.5.1, the money that we took from REBA, you can see where it comes back up. Down at 22.5.5, we took $200,000 from Georgia Research Alliance. We were they had put up a cut of $180,000, and we just rounded it off to $200,000. Okay. All right. The next is forestry. Under forestry protection, we were very concerned about the cuts in forestry protection because it's a safety hazard to our people in the state. And this past year, over 750 structures burned in Georgia, and we restored $436,557 of state funds to supplement statewide firefighters. So we just took a cut. The cut the governor had recommended was $688,837, and you can see where we took a much smaller cut. The next thing is 25.3.3 in fire protection. We restored enough money so we can, for half the hours of the air patrol time, to assist firefighting departments across the state to detect fires. There are no changes in public service, no changes in water and soil. Department of Transportation, 47.1.1. We restored the $125,000 cut in airport aid, and this will allow us to pull down $2.5 million of federal funds. And I think that is all the cuts. Do I have any questions? Okay. Do pass, any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, do pass.
Never asked that question up here. All right, good afternoon to everyone, and good afternoon to committee members. You should have a tracking sheet in front of you. Additionally, at the hearings, Secretary of State Kemp was asked some questions, and he was kind enough for his office to respond as we'd requested in writing. And each member, I'm asked to please pick up a copy if you would. So today we're only going to go over the recommended changes from the governor's recommendation. In the tracking sheet, I ask everyone to turn to page 5, Department of Audits and Accounts. And there's a total on 41.1, 41.2 of $802,000. That will take this department to the 3% reduction that was asked for. It'll be done through vacant positions. Page 6, State Accounting Office, 11.1.1. That was a cut that was made to the Carl Vinson Institute of $90,000. They had contracts that were outstanding, so the House recommendation and our recommendation is to put the $90,000 back into the budget so they can honor those contracts for the remainder of the year. Page 7, Department of Administrative Services. You may remember there was a tax court that we talked about. We asked them in committee how did they come up with that nice round figure of $100,000 based on the information that we've had. They've taken half of it, so we're going to take the other half. That's $163,000 to reflect the remainder of the year. Next change will come on page 12. Office of the Insurance Commissioner. And that was part of the submission that you see under Insurance Regulation 28.5.1. They offered that 3% reduction to the governor, and we're taking that cut as well. And then finally on page 15, I first want to bring your attention to tax compliance. This is the Department of Revenue, 41.11.1. You'll see the transfer of $1.9 million and change to fraud detection and prevention. Our information is that they've got $625,000, so if you'll take your eyes to 41.4.1 under fraud detection and prevention, the $1.9 million was transferred fund. They've only got $625,000 remaining in those contracts, so we took that amount. And that is the only recommendations that we have, fairly easy on the supplemental, that we have from the governor's budget. And at this time, I will entertain a motion.
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass. Any discussion? Great. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And it passes. And I remind you again, get with Jeremy if you need to pick up the answer that the Secretary of State had to the questions that we posed him. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good to see all of you. This shouldn't take but just a little bit of time, hopefully. We'll get started and convene the meeting of the House Human Resources Committee recommendations for the FY13A budget. So I think everybody has their new tracking sheet in front of them. We'll start first of all with behavioral health and developmental disability, section 15. There are no changes to the governor's recommendations. Most of the most of what we have here, the changes are housekeeping items that align the expenditures with the correct program. The transfers stem from the ADA Settlements Initiative to move people out of state institutions and into community programs, and the CRIPA Settlements Initiative to improve our state institutions. And so then, if you will, and if there are any questions, y'all make sure just, let us know. Human Services is our next one. There's not much room for changes, actually, in DHS because most programs are right at the maintenance of effort levels. There are 3 changes to the recommendation. If you will look, first of all, at 0.5, that is a departmental administration reduction to reduce by $50,000 for Liberty County DFACS office rent. This was a Senate ad from last year, so we're going to take that out at this time since it is just rent. The second one will be, the second one is on the next page, and it is 27.27.2, and that is a $1 million ad that we're going to do to help Warm Springs right now. They're working hard with vocational rehab and some growing expenses and challenges as a new department. So we want to do that one. And then there's one other one that I think I missed back the page before. Is it on there? I'm sorry. It is 27.9.6, the $2 million there. This is a partial need. It doesn't complete all of the needs for the expenditures for IT. They have huge expenses with the existing eligibility programs. So those are the 3 in the Department of Human Services. Next is labor, and there are no changes there. The next one will be Veterans Services. They began taking in new revenue in the form of federal aid and attendance fee in February, and they're using this for new positions, and you will see that noted in 48.3.2. And then if you come down to 48.5.1, to reduce the amount to hire new people. What this amount actually is, though, we are in with only 1 quarter left. It does not really affect them because most of the year is gone, so it's 1/2 of the transfer at this time. And then the last is the Governor's Office of Children and Families, and there are no changes at this time for the supplemental budget there. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion to move and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign. Thank you. We have a motion to pass. And I thank y'all for attending.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. And this is the Public Safety Subcommittee of Appropriations. And we are dealing today with the 2013 amended budget on the public safety agencies. After the meeting today, we will adjourn to the parking lot where Tom Weldon will give us a lesson on changing a tire. I want to see if you can beat your previous record of 1.5 hours. All right, we're starting with the Court of Appeals, and we're on the tracking sheet 5.1.3, where there was a request for $5,400, and the committee deleted that, and so that request is now 0. On 5.1.5, Court of Appeals had requested maintenance fees for docket software of $33,000, and the committee recommended 0. And 5.1.6, there was a request for an increased funds for personal services of $225,016, and the committee's request is 0. On Judicial Council, 6.3.1, there was a request for $52,000 for a new position, and the committee's response to that is 0. On prosecuting attorneys, which is section 8, on page 21, there was a request at 8.2.1 for $155,947 for travel expense. That request was zeroed out by the committee. 8.3.1, no, 8.3.2, there was a request, I think, for state health benefit plan premiums adjustment of $58,218, and that was zeroed out by the committee. So that request was denied. In section 9 on Superior Courts, which is on page 9 of your tracking sheets, 9.2.1 was a request for $67,500 for operating expense enhancement. That was denied by the committee, was turned to 0. 9.2.2, increased funds for personal services of $18,051. That request was zeroed out. 9.3.1, the request was for a reduction of $749,551 in senior judge money. That deduction or reduction was denied, and so there was no change in senior judge money, so basically that money was put back into the budget. 9.3.2, there was a request enhancement of $168,558 for personal services, and that request was denied by the committee and is 0. Section 18, corrections, page 11. There was a change at 18.2.2, a request at 18.6.1 and 18.6.2. The ultimate result of which was a realignment, and also 18.11.3 on the next page. The ultimate result was a realignment, but the ultimate result was $1 million reduction in the department's request. Section 29, which is the GBI, is found on page 14. $29.1.3, there was the governor's request in the budget was $69,684 reduction. We restored that money, so that reduction has changed to 0. 29.1.4, we put in a reduction of $50,000 for personal services. 29.2.2, there was a reduction in the budget placed in by the governor's recommendation of minus $525,000. We changed that to a minus $480,000, so we enhanced that by $45,000. 29.4.3, which was dealing with landlines in the regional investigative offices. the request from the governor's office was a reduction in that for the last 6 months of the year. And we changed it to just a 1 month reduction. So instead of a minus $55,877, we reduced it by $9,313. So that was actually a $46,000 enhancement by us. 29.5. There is estimated to be, because you know this is the first year we were doing in the CJCC, the grants for accountability courts, and it was $11,900,000. It's estimated that at the end of the fiscal year that they will have granted out all but $851,000 of that, since it's the first year of the program, and so we took that money and used it other places in the budget. So that's a minus $851,186. Section 38, which is the Department of Public Safety. On page 19, 38.11.3, there was a reduction in the post by $316,802. We put that money back in, and it's actually page 20. We put that money back in, and then we reduced personal services by $46,231, which was, instead of a 21% reduction, is a 3% reduction in their budget. 38.12.5, there was a reduction in the governor's request of $159,498 in Public Safety Training Center. We changed that to $59,498, and so we enhanced that by $100,000. Then there are other system-wide changes dealing with property liability premiums, technology authority, et cetera, but those are system-wide, so I haven't mentioned those. And just for the agencies that may be interested, just because the request for the mid-year adjustment was not entertained does not mean we won't entertain it for 14. We just didn't see any point in putting any new money into the budget during the middle of the budget year unless it's an emergency or some other kind of fiscal crisis. So we will consider those and be talking to the agencies about those when we talk about the 14 full year budget. Are there any questions, or do I hear a motion? All right, we got a motion to pass. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. It's carried to the full committee, and we are adjourned.
No, but it's been driving me crazy.
Okay, we will call this meeting of the Subcommittee of Appropriations for Education to order. We're going to be looking through the tracking document and reporting just on areas that we have changed what the governor's recommendation is. I'll go through those, all those line by line at the end of that, or after we've answered any questions that you might have. We will be calling for a motion to approve our recommendations on the FY13 amended budget. There were no changes to Section 21, Early Care and Learning, so we'll skip that. Section 23, Department of Education, line 2311. We have reduced the cut to ag education from 3% to 1.5% and modified the caption language to say reduce funds. That would make that cut $114,757. The next change is section 23-2-3 in central office. This deals with the superintendent's leadership program. We have restored that cut. So that adds $44,597 back in. Line 23.4, communities and schools. That cut is reduced from 3% to 2.1%. The cut will now be an even $20,000. In line 23.9, that is Georgia Youth Science and Technology, and we are restoring that cut, so it goes down to a zero cut. And then there will be some changes in the FY14 budget. Next line item would be 23.10.1, Governor's Honors Program. Again, a reduction from 3% to 2.1%, and the cut would be $20,000. 23.12.1, reduction in sparsity grants. We've reduced that from 3% to 1%. That makes the cut there $26,313. 23.12.2 is the reduction for residential treatment centers, and that again is reduced from 3% to 1%, and a cut of $38,313. 23.13, nutrition, and that cut is reduced from 7.1% to 4.9%. And the next one is 23.16, the Quality Basic Education Local 5 mil share. And this has been adjust for funds for state special charter schools based on the local 5 mil share. So that adds another $6,500,000 to the local 5 share. In 23.17, the Quality Basic Education Program. If you look at that, you can see that there is a change, and it now will fully fund the midterm adjustment for enrollment growth, funds the Georgia Special Needs Scholarship, the State Special Charter Schools Supplemental Grant, and also funds $3.4 million for the charter systems that $3.4 was obligated in last year's budget. Additionally, in that section, there is a $149,000 correction based on the FTE problem at the Devereaux Academy, one of the residential treatment centers. And that brings that total up to $162,685,000. The next item would be regional service agencies, the RESAs, and that cut has been reduced from 3% to 1%, and that cut will be $85,000. Technology and career education, which is 23.24, the 3% reduction has been reduced to 1.5, and that completes all of the things that we have changed from the governor's original proposals. Both in education, there were none in employees' retirement system, teachers' retirement system, the Office of the Governor, Georgia Professional Standards Commission, or the Office of Student Accountability. Are there questions from the committee? Chair will entertain a motion. Motion and a second for due pass. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. It passes out. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We will adjourn.